Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thank you to the organizer, Stjepan and Valentino, for inviting me. My presentation will talk less about 1054 and more about 2054 because it tries to analyze what Christianity has in front of it as we move towards a more technocratic future. So in this presentation, I plan to explore some of the profound implications of artificial intelligence on our society from a Christian theological perspective, with the goal to understand how the Christian faith can guide us in navigating this complex and rapidly changing technological landscape. I think that Christianity can and must help us ensure that we preserve the essence of our humanity and our spiritual values amidst the technological advancements that we are already witnessing. So, I think we all agree that AI has permeated nearly every aspect of our human life. I can assure you that many people are using it without even knowing it, so it became that ubiquitous. We are witnessing outstanding advances in fields such as generative AI, and at the same time, there is an increasingly larger hype around the imminence of what AI enthusiasts call AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, a level of evolution of AI which promises to bring about machines, so AI systems, with cognitive abilities comparable to human intelligence. So then, in this landscape, we have the following key question. As we interact with AI daily, and we will interact increasingly more, are we slowly being shaped by these interactions? Does AI have the potential to influence our thoughts, behaviors, and even our understanding of ourselves? So in other words, what are the anthropological implications of this close interaction that we're having with AI? We are thus facing significant challenges for our society, and the ethical, social, and philosophical implications of this AI revolution are profound and far-reaching. So this is the context in which theology can and must contribute to the debate on the ethical and anthropological implications of AI. Through theology, we can explore deeper questions about human dignity, the nature of intelligence, and our relationship with technology. Now, if you find weird that AI is being discussed at a theological conference, I can assure you that AI has already garnered significant attention within theological circles. And here you have just some of the most recent examples. We have Pope Francis's 3 major discourses on the topic of AI this year alone, and very significant, I might add. We have the Orthodox Church equally engaged. Just a very recent example, the 47th Clergy Laity Congress of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, which took place less than 2 weeks ago, included a panel on AI, personhood, and theosis. Also, we have in Europe the Council of European Bishops Conference. They have annual meetings, and the topic for this year's meeting was on AI, more specifically humanity and AI, a glimpse into the future of the Church's commitment. In addition, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew has also increasingly started to be vocal about AI in his homilies. So this is the attention that AI gets from theologians, but there's another theological implication around AI, which is the fact that we have a tendency coming from AI enthusiasts, from computer scientists, to frame AI into theological or mystical or magical terms, you name it. We can see in these headlines news about AI which includes phrases like AI as a religious experience, OpenAI is building God, and AI demands to be worshipped. This language reveals how some view AI not just a technological advancement, but kind of fall in love with its capabilities and give it spiritual or divine qualities, reflecting a profound shift in how we perceive technology. We thus risk creating a new form of idolatry, where technology becomes an object of reverence and awe. Now, the tendency to frame AI in these religious terms reflects also another thing, which is a deeper substrate of social and societal anxieties and aspirations surrounding technological advancements. We have here just a few examples. A 2023 study found that 42% of the interviewed CEOs believe AI has the potential to destroy humanity within the next 5 to 10 years. Similarly, a 2019 study revealed that 1/3 of Americans expect high-level machine intelligence to negatively impact humanity, 12% of them believing that this impact could be catastrophic. AI is already impacting religious communities. There are many studies on this. This is just one example of how skeptical they are on AI. This is a survey by Barna Group among American Christians and shows that very few of them agree that AI is good for the church. Also, what I would say that is the most worrying example of these studies is a research study published in 2023, and it found a significant correlation between exposure to AI and automation, so robotics and stuff like that. So this kind of exposure correlates with declines in religiosity. This finding suggests that as AI continues to evolve, it's not just our technological landscape that's being changed, transformed, but also our societal and spiritual landscapes. So, after drawing up the context, I would now like to outline the key discussion points for today's presentation. First, we will examine how AI development challenges our creative potential and how it shows the risk of losing meaning and creativity in the absence of God. Next, we'll discuss the performative informative paradigm shift driven by AI in today's digital society. We will also address the challenges of living in a machine-readable world. This involves understanding how our identities and interactions are reduced to data points and what impact this has on our sense of self and community. Finally, we will explore how the way we relate to AI affects our relationships with God and each other. Throughout this presentation, I will draw on Christian theological tradition, referencing several theologians and Christian philosophers, and focusing particularly on the theology of Joseph Ratzinger. I consider his work, both as a theologian and as a pope, significant to this debate because he decisively contributed to the dialogue between theology, philosophy, and the natural sciences. So, since AI is a technological advancement branded as one of the most prominent human creations, let's examine the relationship between human creativity and sin. For that, I'd like to turn to Sergei Bulgakov, who in his work Bride of the Lamb asserts that human creativity is closely linked with human freedom, and thus is so susceptible to being corrupted by sin. On a communitarian level, the theologian describes sin as a broad development of creativity in its own name. He believes that this corruption can be overcome only by unfolding a positive Christian doctrine of the world and creative activity, and by manifestation of its power. Now, this last statement is particularly relevant for our discussion because it underscores the need for a theological framework that guides and purifies our creative impulses, ensuring they align with divine intentions and imbuing them with meaning and direction. So as we consider the meaning and direction within human creativity, it is important to acknowledge that AI has brought unquestionable progress and fostered significant advancements. However, many of its applications are being questioned as potentially creating more problems than they solve. One classic example here is the race to create a very capable AI for detecting AI-generated content, right? So this is AI self-augmentation. Joseph Ratzinger, in a 1986 homily on the meaning of blessing a machine, sees this scenario as an outcome of man forgetting God, and thus losing the true meaning and direction of his creative potential, which he is endowed by the Creator. He knows that man forgets his own measure and becomes for himself a riddle without an answer. This point is very applicable to some of the latest AI developments, especially those surrounding general or generic AI systems, which were not designed to solve any specific problem. The quest for AGI falls also into this category, because AGI does not aim to solve any problem, any practical problem. Ratzinger warns that man's creative force may end up producing things that are without a reason why, devoid of all deeper significance, and that his technological abilities may become a direct threat to the survival of human race. Another anthropological implication of AI is also revealed by Ratzinger as Pope Benedict XVI in his encyclical Spe Salvi, where he argues that authentic Christian life is not based on information, but on a love story, a personal encounter which is inherently performative, life-changing and life-sustaining. He contrasts this with an information-based Christian faith, which is merely a surrogate to that. And in this information-based Christianity, any message is not transformative, but it will likely be set aside and replaced with more recent or attractive or engaging information. So we can extrapolate and argue that on a cognitive level, AI could cause the reduction of human life and work experiences from being performative in a transformative sense to merely informative. Additionally, AI recommendation algorithms constantly provide us with news, videos, and social media posts with the aim of keeping users happily immersed in their information bubbles. Our lives are increasingly driven by abstract metrics that AI algorithms try to optimize or maximize: ratings, likes, views, and so on. While AI can provide us with tailored content, it also risks numbing our hearts. We may end up lacking authentic, transformative experiences and relationships with God, the people around us, and with creation as a whole. This shift, as Ratzinger warned, risks reducing human experience to an informative or informational state. And I believe Marshall McLuhan's quote is very suitable in this context. We shape our tools, and our tools shape us. And the reason I'm referencing McLuhan is that AI has revived the claims of technological determinism, which asserts that technology develops independently and shapes society in significant ways. Here are just some examples of two of the most prominent representatives of technological determinisms, both Christian philosophers. So Jacques Ellul, in 1967, he forwarded the concept of autonomous technology, a technology that ultimately evolves beyond human control and conquers every aspect of human society. So here the question is, are we witnessing AI augmenting itself? At the same time, Marshall McLuhan introduced the concept of technology as an extension of man and the concept of amputation that follows that extension. So here we could ask the question, as AI performs tasks in our place, is there a risk that our mental faculties will be amputated, hindering our personal development? Now, along these lines, more recently, scholar Shannon Valor in 2015 introduced a very interesting concept called moral de-skilling. And this is also relevant for AI because decision-making inherently involves exercising ethical judgment. And we are starting to over-rely on AI for decision-making, which can exacerbate moral de-skilling. Because as we increasingly delegate our decisions to AI, we might lose the essential skills needed for ethical and moral reasoning. As we increasingly interact with the world in an AI-mediated way, rather than experiencing it directly, this shift also impacts us as a society. This transition is accelerating humanity's path toward what Ratzinger called a global technical worldview, where efficiency and utility become the only criteria of truth. At the end of this path, Ratzinger points out that we are in a point where the automatic denial of human development takes place. Ratzinger warns against the scenario of living in a technocratic cultural perspective, where we will not be able to discern a meaning that is not of our own making. In such a world, the truth will come to be seen coinciding with the possible, because technology will become an ideological power that threatens us to confine us within an a priori that holds us back from encountering meaning and truth. Another significant anthropological challenge of AI systems is their action of reducing human users to numerical data. So we all interact with recommender algorithms on social networks like YouTube, TikTok, you name it. The way these algorithms provide the custom tailored content for each individual is to first construct an algorithmic identity for users. So users are replaced in the eye of the AI with an imperfect, simplified digital representation. Consequently, AI interacts with users based on this digital representation, providing the recommendations. So essentially, to participate in an AI-enhanced world, so in the digital world of today, individuals are assigned numbers or reduced to them. In this machine-readable world, the reduction to numerical representations has its risks because it risks diminishing the richness and profundity of human identity for the sake of utilitarianism and algorithmic efficiency. Now, Ratzinger illustrates this risk in a very interesting meditation he wrote in 1973, so he anticipated the world of today 5 decades earlier, where he spoke of a world in which machines that man constructed impose their own law on him. Man must be made readable for the computer, and this can only be achieved when he is translated into numbers. So in this world, functions are all that exist, and man becomes a number in itself, everything else in him becoming irrelevant. Ratzinger opposes to this beast, so this technological beast who is a number and it makes men numbers, he opposes God, who has a name and who calls us by our name. God is a person and he seeks the person. He has a face and he seeks our face. He has a heart and he seeks our heart. And for God, we are not some function in a world machinery. End of quote. Today we are increasingly encountering the question of whether AI will evolve to become godlike. Now, this is associated with its evolution to the AGI level that I mentioned earlier. And AI enthusiasts believe that this scenario could soon be plausible, propelling humanity into an unparalleled era of flourishing. Now, what's interesting is the discourse around this term, godlike AI. So you can see it had an increase in recent years, and what's shocking is that a quarter of the total mentions of godlike AI all over the internet are in the 7 months of 2024. Now, when debating the risks associated with AGI, the narrative often focuses on the existential threats, claiming that AGI could potentially destroy humanity. However, borrowing from Ratzinger's theological discourse, a more immediate risk lies in humanity's attempt to use AI to gain godlike power over creation. Ratzinger identifies this concern, warning of a scenario where humanity places its faith in technological advancements. He cautioned that such a reliance on technology could sideline God, disrupting individuals' relationships with the world and with their own lives. And he illustrates this risk in a commentary on medieval Jewish fable, a fable in which Jeremiah and his son created a living human being by engineering a correct combination of words and letters, which is very similar to what some people are trying to do today with AI. When this creature came to life, it changed the inscription on its forehead, which read initially, "God is the truth," to "God is dead." And obviously, Jeremiah asked the creature why had it done that, to which it replied, "Now that you are able to create a man, God is dead. My life is the death of God. Where man has all the power, God has no longer any power." Now, this narrative is easily connected to the discourse surrounding AI. Without a correct understanding of AI's evolution and operation, people might unwittingly be in awe of its power, thereby sidelining God in their lives. Our relationship with God is intricately linked to the relationship we form with the world, ourselves, and others. As AI permeates the social relationships at various levels, Ratzinger's reflection underscores the imperative of slowing down in our AI-augmented lives and reflecting on how technology impacts our relationships and sense of self. So, given that we're approaching the end of our presentation, let's draw some conclusions from the theological critique of AI that we've seen so far. So, first and foremost, I think that we should acknowledge that human creativity comes from God. This recognition ensures that our creative potential does not lose its true meaning and direction. By doing so, the fruit of our creativity, be it AI or any other technology, can be seen as a synergy between God's love and goodness and human work. Additionally, even if we live in an informational digital world powered by AI, it is essential that we do not base our lives on the mere acquisition of information or ideas. Instead, we should strive for holistic learning that engages us at a deeper level. Our digital experiences and interactions with AI should not remain purely informational. They must transition into real-life, transformative experiences that foster personal development and interpersonal encounters. Moreover, we need to be aware that the correct understanding of and relation to technology is crucial for our relationship with God and each other. At the same time, we should avoid measuring authentic human development exclusively by technological performance. Our worth should not be reduced merely to metrics of technological efficiency. It's also important not to give in to the fascination of technology. Instead, we should control its use and development through decisions that arise from moral responsibility. And lastly, we should not use technology merely to maximize efficiency and utility, but rather its usage should enable us to reappropriate the true meaning of freedom, which, as Ratzinger eloquently puts it, is essentially a response to the call of being, starting with our own personal being. Now, one final idea, if I may. I think that we should, as Christians, be very realistic about the future so we can face it without fear and anxiety. We should expect that AI systems will become increasingly more accurate and powerful. They might even reach and surpass human-like capabilities in all tasks. A form of superintelligence might even be possible one day, and some might even call it godlike. However, it is essential to recognize a critical distinction, and here is where I think Christianity must have a contribution to the technological development. And this distinction is that regardless of how well an AI algorithm may perform a task, even if it can do it better than a human, it will always remain a mathematical algorithm with the end goal to maximize or minimize a function or a metric. Regardless of how human-like an AI interaction feels, or we might have humanoid robots walking around looking and acting just like us. For these technologies, we will never be anything more than numerical data. Christianity offers a contrasting viewpoint on what it means to be human and how to build a community. It teaches that the human person has a name that allows him or her to be addressed. The name denotes community. As Ratzinger argues, Christianity is not an intellectual system, but an encounter, a love story, and the Christian message is not merely a communication of information, but an experience that makes things happen and is life-changing. This profound connection based on love is something no AI can replicate. It underscores the unique value of human life and our irreplaceable role in the divine plan. As we advance technologically, Christian spirituality of both Eastern and Western traditions should always remind us to cherish this essential aspect of our humanity. Thank you.